Slain is a game that I saw earlier in the year and decided right away that I wanted to give it a try. The art style catches the eye right away, and usually when a game is eye-catching like that, it means good things. Unfortunately, Slain did not live up to my expectations, and has been mostly a disappointment. When I pick up a platformer with Castlevania-style combat, I have pretty high expectations. This is a highly competitive market for games like this right now, and it isn't easy to stand out from the crowd. I also expect a lot when I'm told that this will be the most metal soundtrack I've ever heard. The promises that the developer made on the store page on Steam and elsewhere makes you have high expectations. So where is it that the game failed? Surprisingly, it fails in quite a few of the areas that seemed promising. Whenever I pick up a game like this, the first thing that I mess with is the controls. I always use a controller for platformers because I feel like it just makes more sense. One of the problems that I noticed immediately is the animations for swinging your sword. Whenever you swing the sword at an enemy, it forces you to pause. This causes you to take unnecessary hits a lot of the time, unless you play a slower plotting style. This isn't the kind of game where I feel like you should be taking your time. There's metal music blaring in the background, there's blood everywhere, the gameplay should be fast-paced. Yet here I am trying to mow through random enemies and being jarred by pauses during swinging animations. And it isn't just the sword swipe that makes you stop moving. It's the same with the magic that you shoot and this heavier sword strike ability. It just feels off. Some of the enemies also have too much health, so it takes multiple swings of the sword to kill them. For some reason, the most effective way to kill random enemies is to do the kneel animation and stand in place swiping through them. It just feels wrong. Considering the meat of the game is the combat, it's pretty unforgivable that it doesn't play in a way that feels good and intuitive. There are also problems with the music. Although it sounds decent, not the best metal soundtrack I've ever heard, but passable, there are very obvious breaks in the track when the music restarts. It seems like it wouldn't be that difficult to fix, and it even happens during the first track you hear in the game. This led to my first impression of the game being pretty bad, and although the visuals are really nice, by far the best part of the game, it isn't enough to carry the poor combat and very average platforming elements. The dialogue in the game is also super cheesy, and where I could have looked past that if the controls were tight, it just made the experience not worth my time considering the plethora of other options out there. That doesn't mean that the game is irredeemable. It just means that I can't recommend the game to most people. If you're a huge fan of metal and you're absolutely in love with the art style, I could see some people liking the game. Unfortunately, the flaws were too much for me, and as much as I wanted to, I didn't find the experience of playing it to be very enjoyable. This has been my review of Slain, and I'm Melchiorus from GameClouds. Have a good night, friends.